She tried to steal his horse, but the cowboy simply said, "Ride with me instead." The twin moons of Red Mesa Colony hung low in the sky, casting pale light over the cracked red plains. Dust swirled around the wooden corrals, and neon signs flickered softly in the quiet town. Most people were inside their homes or the dimly lit taverns, but one man moved alone through the empty streets. Jax Hawthorne was not the kind of man to stand out. He wore a wide-brimmed hat pulled low over his eyes, a long coat that brushed his knees, and boots that made almost no sound on the dusty ground. But even in a town full of settlers, miners, and wandering traders, people recognized him. Jax was a bounty hunter, calm, clever, and with a reputation for never backing down from trouble. Tonight, he wasn't looking for trouble. He was just heading home. Home was a modest corral on the outskirts of Red Mesa Colony, where his hover horse Blaze waited. Blaze wasn't like other horses. His fur shimmered slightly under the moonlight, and faint lines of glowing circuits traced his sleek, muscular legs. Jax had spent years modifying him, blending old-world horse instincts with advanced hover technology. Blaze could leap over crevices, outrun most vehicles, and respond to Jax's every subtle command. He was fast, loyal, and untouchable. At least, that's what Jax believed. As Jax approached the corral, he noticed a shadow moving near the fence. He paused, one hand resting casually on the holster at his hip. The shadow shifted, and suddenly a woman's figure emerged from behind the post. She was quick, lithe, and clearly trying to remain unnoticed. Before Jax could speak, she swung open the corral gate. Her movements were precise, almost practiced. She reached for Blaze's reins. Jax's eyes narrowed. "Hey," he called, voice calm but firm. "Step away from my horse." The woman froze. For a moment it seemed like she might run, or fight, or argue. But then she gave a small, almost amused smile. "I don't want trouble," she said, her voice steady. "Just let me borrow him for a little while." He stepped closer. "Borrow? You mean steal. You don't just take someone's horse in Red Mesa Colony." Her eyes flickered with something unreadable. Fear, defiance, maybe both. "I have my reasons," she said. "And I'm very careful." Jax tilted his head. He studied her. She was young, maybe in her mid-20s, with short, dark hair that stuck out in angles like sparks. Her clothes were worn but practical, dusty boots, reinforced gloves, and a jacket lined with hidden pockets. Whoever she wasn't a casual thief. She had skill, and she had courage. "What's your name?" Jax asked. "Kara," she said. "Kara Vex." He raised an eyebrow. "Kara Vex?" The name sounded familiar, but he couldn't place it. Maybe someone had mentioned her in passing, or maybe it was just a coincidence. Kara shifted slightly, her hand brushing Blaze's neck. "Look, I don't have much time. I need to move fast, and I need a horse that can keep up." Blaze whinnied softly, as if sensing the tension. Jax could feel it too. He knew his horse trusted him, and he trusted his horse. No one could get close to Blaze without his permission. And yet, something about Kara made him hesitate. She didn't act like a common thief. She wasn't greedy or reckless, just desperate. And desperate people made the best allies, or the most dangerous enemies. Jax exhaled slowly. Then, in a voice almost too quiet to hear, he said, "Ride with me instead." "What?" "Ride with me. You need speed." "I need company. Maybe we can help each other." Kara looked at him like he was crazy. Then she looked at Blaze. The horse lifted his head, ears flicking toward her. It was almost as if he approved of Jax's choice. "Why would you just let me?" Kara asked, suspicion clear in her tone. Jax shrugged. "I like to know what I'm up against. Besides, trouble has a way of finding me anyway. Might as well have someone useful along for the ride." Kara hesitated, weighing her options. Stealing Blaze would be faster, safer, and less complicated. But she sensed something in Jax, a strange honesty, a quiet strength. Maybe, just maybe, she could trust him. "Fine," she said at last, "but don't slow me down." "I don't plan to." Blaze nickered softly, and together the three of them, Jax, Kara, and Blaze, stepped out into the open plains beyond Red Mesa Colony. The wind was cold and sharp, carrying the faint scent of dust and distant metal mines. The twin moons reflected off the distant cliffs, casting long shadows across the desert floor. Kara glanced at Jax. "Where are we going?" "Crimson Rift," he said. "There's a canyon east of here. Dangerous, but fast. And it's a good place to lay low if anyone is chasing you." She raised an eyebrow. "Chasing me?" Instead, he leaned slightly forward, feeling Blaze's muscles tense beneath him as they picked up speed. Maybe not, but better safe than sorry. You don't just run across these plains without someone watching. As they rode, the desert unfolded like a painting. Jagged red cliffs rose in the distance. Neon-lit mining drones hovered above abandoned outposts, blinking like strange insects in the night. The wind whistled through the canyon crevices, carrying the low hum of energy from hidden generators. Kara kept her eyes on the horizon, silent for a moment. Then she asked, "Why are you helping me?" Jax didn't look at her. "I don't know yet. Maybe I see a little bit of myself in you," she snorted softly. "That's not very comforting." "Comfort has never been my strong suit," Jax said, his voice almost a whisper. "But surviving? That I'm good at." For the next hour, they rode in silence. The only sounds were Blaze's hooves hovering above the ground, the wind, and the distant hum of abandoned tech. Kara couldn't help but notice that Jax moved with a quiet confidence, one that made it clear he had survived far worse than she could imagine. Finally, Kara spoke again. "I shouldn't tell you this, but I have a mission. Something important. If I fail, a lot of people will get hurt. Mission or no mission, you're still here. You need a horse that can handle the plains, and I have one. And right now, that's all that matters." She looked at him, really looked at him for the first time, and saw something unusual. Not just a bounty hunter or a loner, but a man who made his own rules and stuck by them. Someone who could be trusted, even if just a little. As the night deepened, the desert seemed to come alive. Strange lights flickered on distant cliffs, and the ground occasionally trembled from the rumble of unseen machines. Blaze adjusted his course with precision, navigating narrow ravines and sudden drops. Kara felt a thrill she hadn't felt in years, a mix of fear, excitement, and the strange comfort of knowing she wasn't alone. Hours later, they reached the edge of the Crimson Rift. The canyon stretched below them, deep and shadowy, its jagged walls glowing faintly from the moonlight. The wind howled through the rocks, and the canyon seemed to whisper secrets of old tech, hidden dangers, and forgotten treasures. Jax brought Blaze to a halt. He turned slightly to Kara. "We rest here for the night. Tomorrow, we go deeper. That's where things get interesting." Kara nodded, though her mind raced. She didn't know if she could trust Jax completely, but something inside her told her that this was the start of a journey she couldn't turn away from. Blaze nuzzled her hand as if sensing her thoughts. Kara smiled faintly, a rare softness crossing her face. Maybe, just maybe, this stolen ride was the beginning of something far bigger than either of them expected. And somewhere in the shadows of the canyon, unknown eyes watched them, waiting for the right moment to strike. The plains were quiet now, but danger was never far in Red Mesa Colony. And tonight, the adventure had only just begun. The morning sun rose slowly over the Crimson Rift, turning the jagged cliffs into streaks of copper and gold. Mist curled between the rocks, and the wind carried the faint smell of ozone from nearby energy generators. Jax Hawthorne and Kara Vex sat on a narrow ledge, Blaze grazing nearby, his circuits softly glowing as he adjusted to the early light. The night had been quiet, almost too quiet. Kara tried to shake off the feeling of being watched, but the desert had a way of keeping secrets. "We can't stay here long," Jax said, his eyes scanning the horizon. "Someone might have followed us from Red Mesa Colony, and even if they didn't, this canyon has eyes of its own." "Eyes?" "Surveillance drones, hidden sensors, even scavengers with more tech than sense. This canyon has seen more raids than I care to count."
"You need to pay attention."
Kara nodded, gripping the saddle tightly. Blaze stamped his hooves, sensing her unease. "Relax," Jax said with a small smile. "He likes you. That means I do too." Kara raised an eyebrow but said nothing. They set off along the canyon's edge, Blaze moving smoothly over narrow ledges. Jax's hand brushed a small panel on Blaze's neck, activating stealth mode. The horse's hover engines emitted only a soft hum, almost silent against the canyon's natural sounds. Hours passed as the two riders navigated winding paths and narrow bridges carved into the canyon walls. The landscape shifted constantly, glowing crystals embedded in cliffs, old mining outposts abandoned decades ago, and sudden drops that disappeared into shadow. Kara had to admit she had never seen terrain like this, even in the farthest reaches of the colonies. "I still don't understand why you didn't stop me from trying to steal Blaze," Kara said after a while. "Most people would have." She trailed off. "Shot first, ask questions later." Jax finished for her, smirking. "I'm not most people. Besides, I saw you didn't take him out of greed." "You were desperate. That makes all the difference." Kara studied him. There was a confidence in his voice, calm but unshakable. She had met many people in her life, some good, some dangerous. Few were like Jack's. Before she could respond, a sharp, mechanical whine echoed through the canyon. Kara's eyes widened as small lights appeared along the cliff edges. Drones. Sleek, metallic, with red scanning beams moving in patterns. "Looks like we have company," Jack said calmly. "Chrome jackals." Kara's heart skipped a beat. She had heard of the Chrome Jackals, a gang of tech-enhanced raiders who worked the frontier, chasing anyone with valuable cargo or secrets. If they caught her, it wouldn't end well. "Hang on," Jack said, nudging Blaze forward. The horse surged, gliding over ledges with precise leaps as red scanning beams cut through the mist. Kara held on tightly. The drones adjusted their paths, trying to anticipate their moves, but Blaze was faster than any machine in the canyon. Jax guided him along narrow rock paths, through old mining tunnels and under glowing crystal arches. "You move like you've done this before," Kara shouted over the hum of the hover engines. "Years," Jax replied. "And Blaze likes a challenge." The canyon twisted unexpectedly, dropping them into a wide-open plain dotted with metallic wrecks, old hover vehicles, rusted cargo crates, and shattered mining robots. The Chrome Jackals pursued, adjusting their drones to follow them across the rough terrain. Kara's stomach tightened as a drone swooped low, scanning the ground with a red beam. "We can't outrun them forever," she yelled. Jax glanced over his shoulder, his expression calm. "We won't have to." He tapped Blaze's side, activating a hidden boost. The horse shot forward, engines humming louder, kicking up clouds of red dust. Kara gripped the saddle tighter. For a moment she felt weightless as Blaze leapt over a pile of metal debris, the dust swirling around them like a storm. She had never felt this alive, fear mixed with excitement, danger pushing her senses sharper than ever. The drone struggled to keep up. One miscalculated and crashed into a pile of metal, sparks flying into the sky. Kara laughed, a sound that was half relief, half disbelief. "Not bad," she said, looking at Jax. He smirked. "I told you, Blaze likes a challenge." Hours passed in a tense blur. The canyon gave way to open desert, dotted with neon-lit ruins of old mining towns. Jax guided Blaze with quiet precision, weaving between obstacles, avoiding energy traps left behind by previous travelers. Kara's mind raced. The desert was beautiful and deadly, and she realized how unprepared she had been for this kind of journey. Finally, they stopped at the edge of a small plateau. Blaze lowered himself to the ground, breathing softly. Jax dismounted and stretched. Kara slid off, brushing dust from her jacket. "Think they're still following?" Kara asked. Jax shook his head. "They'll catch up eventually, but not tonight. And by then, we'll be ready." Kara glanced at the horizon. The desert stretched endlessly, red rocks glowing faintly under the sun. Somewhere out there, secrets waited, hidden tech, forgotten caches, and people who could help or hurt her. "Why are you helping me, Jax?" she asked again. "You don't even know me." Jax shrugged. "I like knowing what I'm up against. Besides, everyone deserves a chance, even someone who tries to steal my horse." Kara couldn't help but laugh softly. "You really trust me a lot for a guy like you." "I trust Blaze first," Jax replied. "And he seems to like you." The two laughed quietly, a rare moment of lightness in the tense desert. Kara realized that, for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel completely alone. There was someone who could handle the dangers of the frontier, and who might actually help her. As the sun dipped lower, the temperature dropped, and the desert became eerily quiet. Jax pointed to a distant ridge. "We rest there. It's safer. Gives us a good view if anyone comes after us." The ridge was narrow, but offered a clear view of the desert plains. Blaze nuzzled Kara as she fed him some energy rations. "He's a good horse," she murmured. "Best in the frontier," Jax said with a grin. "And he likes people who mean no harm." The silence stretched for a few minutes. Then Kara spoke again, voice quiet. "I wasn't always a thief. I have a mission. Something important. If I fail, a lot of people could get hurt."
Jax nodded slowly.
"I get that. Don't worry, I'm not just here for the ride. I'll help if I can. But you have to trust me." Kara looked at him, really looked at him, and for a moment her defenses dropped. She saw a man who had survived the harshest frontiers, who understood danger, but who also knew how to protect the innocent. She nodded. I'll trust you for now. Night fell, and the two settled near a small fire they built from scavenged materials. Blaze lay close, circuits softly humming, ears twitching at every sound. The desert was alive, with wind, distant animals, and the faint hum of hidden tech. Suddenly, a faint red glow appeared on the horizon, the distant drones of the chrome jackals moving closer. Jax stiffened. They found us again. Jax didn't panic. Not yet. And we're ready. Let them come. We have Blaze, the Ridge, and a plan. We'll be fine. You're unbelievable, Jax smirked, brushing dust from his coat. And you're lucky. Most people would have panicked by now. The fire crackled between them as they watched the red lights grow nearer. Kara realized that this was more than a chase. It was a test of skill, courage, and trust. And she had a feeling that the next stage of their journey would be even more dangerous than the canyon. But for now, she was glad to have a companion like Jax Hawthorne and a horse like Blaze to face it with. Somewhere in the distance, hidden eyes watched the two riders. The desert might have seemed quiet, but danger never slept. And for Kara Vex, the ride had only just begun. The sun had barely risen over the Crimson Rift when Jax Hawthorne and Kara Vex awoke to a chilly breeze that whispered through the canyon. Blaze stood nearby, soft hums from his circuits blending with the natural sounds of the desert. For a moment, everything felt peaceful, almost safe, but both riders knew the quiet was only temporary. Jax surveyed the horizon. They didn't follow us last night, he said, but that doesn't mean we're in the clear. The chrome jackals are clever. They wait, they watch, and they strike when you least expect it. Kara pulled her jacket tighter around her shoulders. I should have known they wouldn't let me go easily. Whoever I'm running from, they don't take risks lightly. Jax nodded, his eyes narrowing. Then we'll keep moving, and we need to move smart. The canyon splits ahead. One path is faster but more dangerous. The other is safer, but it'll slow us down. Which do you choose? We don't have time to take the safe route. Let's go fast. Blaze can handle it. The horse whinnied softly, ears flicking as if agreeing with her decision. Jax mounted without a word, trusting both Kara and Blaze. Together the trio moved into the twisting canyon paths, the red rocks glowing faintly under the rising sun. For a while, the journey seemed uneventful. Kara marveled at the canyon's strange beauty, rocks embedded with glowing minerals, old machinery half buried in dust, and distant cliffs that seemed impossibly high. She began to let her guard down, thinking perhaps they could finally have a quiet ride for a while. But danger had a way of appearing when least expected. As they rounded a bend, Kara noticed movement in the shadows. Small shapes darted between the rocks, too quick for human eyes. "Jax, look," she whispered. Jax followed her gaze. His eyes darkened. They found us faster than I thought. Chrome jackals. And they're not alone. From the shadows, several figures emerged. Not raiders this time, but people. People from Kara's past. Kara's stomach dropped. She had spent years avoiding them, and now they were here. "Stop!" one of them shouted. "Kara, give it back." She realized immediately they weren't here for Blaze. They were here for the information she carried. The intel she had risked everything to protect. Jax's hand rested on Blaze's side, ready for a quick getaway if needed. "Who are they?" he asked. "Not really friends," Kara admitted. "They betrayed my trust once. If they catch me now, they'll take what I'm carrying and leave me behind." The canyon seemed to close around them as the figures approached, shadows stretching across the rocks. Kara gritted her teeth. "We can't fight them," she said. "Not yet. But we can outsmart them." Jax's eyes gleamed. "Then we outsmart them." With a sudden movement, he tapped Blaze's control panel, sending the horse into a near-silent hover. They leapt over a jagged cliff edge, disappearing from the canyon floor into a narrow hidden path. Kara clung tightly to the saddle as Blaze navigated the impossible trail with perfect precision. Behind them, the figures followed, but the path was narrow, winding, and full of obstacles. One misstep would send them tumbling into the rocks below. Kara's heart pounded. She had never seen a horse move like this before, like it knew the canyon better than any map could show. When the path widened again, they slowed, crouching behind a rock outcrop. Kara's mind raced. "They're faster than I expected. And one of them knows me well. Too well." Jax glanced at her. "You trust me to keep you safe?" "More than anyone else," Kara said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Good," Jax replied. "Then we'll use that. They think they know you. We'll make 'em think you're cornered, and then we turn the tables." For the next hour, they executed a careful plan. Blaze moved silently between hidden ledges, while Kara used small signal devices to create illusions, making shadows shift, simulating footsteps in wrong directions. By the time the old allies reached the canyon floor, they were confused, unsure which path Kara had taken. Finally, the group stopped, muttering to one another. Kara allowed herself a small smile. "That's the advantage of knowing the land," she whispered. Jax nodded, though his eyes were alert, "and having the right horse." But the relief was brief. From the shadows, a soft glow appeared. Jax's eyes narrowed. "Wait, that's not Kara's people." "That's something else." A sleek, metallic figure emerged. A drone larger than the ones they had seen before, with a scanning beam sweeping over the canyon floor. Kara's heart skipped a beat. "They've upgraded," she muttered. Jax smiled faintly, a glimmer of excitement in his eyes. "Good. I like a challenge." Blaze leapt forward, engines humming, as Jax and Kara dodged between rocks, narrowly avoiding the scanning beam. The canyon seemed alive now, full of hidden dangers, but they moved with confidence. Kara realized she was no longer afraid. Not really. She trusted Jax, and she trusted Blaze. As the drone pursued, Kara spotted a narrow tunnel leading deeper into the canyon. "There!" she shouted. "We can lose it in there!" Jax gave a quick nod, steering Blaze toward the opening. The tunnel was dark and tight, but Blaze adjusted his hover system, sliding through without touching the walls. The drone followed, but the entrance was too narrow for its full size, and it had to hover cautiously. That gave Kara and Jax the advantage they needed. When they emerged on the other side, the canyon opened into a small clearing. Kara exhaled, feeling the tension leave her body slightly. "We did it. We lost them. We didn't lose them. They'll be back. But we bought ourselves time. That's all we need." Kara looked around the clearing. In the center, half buried in the sand, was a crashed starship. Its metal hull was dented, but the glow of internal power cores suggested it still held something valuable. Kara's eyes widened. "I've heard stories about this ship," she said. "They say it holds technology from another world. Tech that could change everything. Looks like we've got more than just a chase on our hands. We've got a mystery." Kara stepped closer to the ship, brushing sand from its surface. "I didn't come here for treasure. I came here to protect information. But maybe this can help us, if we can figure it out before anyone else does." Jax's eyes gleamed. Together. As they examined the ship, Kara realized something else. Jax was more than a bounty hunter. He was smart, resourceful, and fearless. And for the first time, she didn't feel like she had to carry the weight of her mission alone. Hours passed as they explored the starship. Kara used her small tools to access the control panels, while Jax monitored the perimeter. Blaze grazed nearby, circuits glowing softly in the dim light. "I think we can use this," Kara said finally, excitement in her voice. "It's not just old tech. It's advanced, maybe enough to give us an edge against anyone trying to catch us." "Good. We'll need that." "The chrome jackals won't give up, and your old allies might try again, too. But for now, we have a head start." Kara looked at him, a small smile forming. "I didn't expect to trust anyone this quickly." "You're learning fast," Jax replied with a grin. "And you're lucky. Most people don't get a second chance with me." Or Blaze. The two of them sat together as the sun set behind the canyon cliffs. The desert glowed red and gold, and for a moment the world felt peaceful. But both knew it wouldn't last. Danger lurked in every shadow, and betrayal was never far behind. Kara looked at Jax. "Tomorrow we go deeper, and I have a feeling we're going to find more than we bargained for." Jax's eyes narrowed, a hint of a smile on his face. "Good. I like surprises." Blaze nuzzled Kara gently, as if sensing the weight of what lay ahead. Kara reached down and stroked his mane. "We're ready," she whispered, and somewhere in the distant canyon shadows, hidden eyes watched the two riders. The journey was far from over. The desert held secrets, lies, and challenges that would test both Kara and Jax. But for now, as the twin moons rose in the sky, Kara realized something important. She wasn't alone. And with Jax and Blaze by her side, she just might survive whatever the desert had in store. The twin moons hung low over the Crimson Rift, casting long shadows across the jagged cliffs. Jax Hawthorne and Kara Vex sat on a ridge, Blaze grazing nearby, circuits softly humming. The air was tense with anticipation. For days they had raced through canyons, dodged drones, and evaded old allies who had once betrayed Kara. Now, they faced the heart of the mystery, The governor's fortified outpost, a metallic structure glowing with neon energy, perched like a sentinel on the edge of the desert plains. "Are you ready for this?" Jax asked, his hand resting lightly on Blaze's mane. Kara nodded, though her stomach twisted with nerves. "As ready as I'll ever be. This is what I came here for. I just hope we can finish it without getting caught." "Don't worry about caught," Jax said with a grin. "We have Blaze, brains, and a little luck. That's enough for me." Kara reached down to stroke him. "Then let's do it." They moved down the ridge, weaving between rocks and shadows. The outpost loomed closer, glowing with neon lights and energy barriers that hummed softly. Kara had seen images of it in data files she had smuggled, but nothing compared to the reality. It was massive, cold, and designed to intimidate anyone who approached. Jax paused behind a rocky outcrop. "We need a plan. We can't just ride in." "The defenses are too strong." Kara studied the outpost, noting the patrols, the scanning towers, and the energy barriers. Then she smiled faintly. "We don't have to go in the front." "There's a maintenance tunnel on the east side. I've seen schematics. It's old, abandoned, and barely guarded. It'll take us inside undetected." Jax raised an eyebrow. "You've thought this through?" "Mostly," Kara admitted. "But with Blaze and you, I think we can handle it." Blaze whinnied softly, as if agreeing. Jax laughed. "All right then, let's move." They crept through the desert, using rocks and shadows to stay hidden from the scanning drones. Kara led the way, using a small device to disable sensors as they approached the maintenance tunnel. Blaze followed quietly, hovering over rough terrain without making a sound. The tunnel was dark and narrow, and the air smelled of metal and old dust. Kara held a small lantern, its glow reflecting off the walls. "This will take us under the outpost," she whispered. "Once we're inside, we can access the control room." Jax nodded, eyes alert. "Stay close. We don't know what's waiting for us." Hours seemed to pass as they navigated the tunnels, twisting and turning, until finally they emerged in a large chamber filled with glowing consoles and panels. Kara's eyes widened. "This is it," she said. "The heart of the outpost. If we can access this, we can stop the governor from controlling the colonies." Jax scanned the room, noting patrol patterns on the screens. "All right, you take the consoles. I'll cover the entrance. Blaze can stay nearby. Ready?" Kara nodded and moved to the consoles, fingers flying across the holographic displays. Jax positioned himself by the door, alert to any movement. Blaze's circuits hummed softly, standing ready to act at a moment's notice. Minutes passed in tense silence. Then Kara's face lit up. "Got it! The governor's control network is exposed. I can redirect the energy flows and expose his corruption to the colonies." Jax smiled faintly. "Good work. Let's make it happen." As Kara manipulated the controls, alarms suddenly blared throughout the outpost. Red lights flashed and distant footsteps echoed in the corridors. "They've noticed us!" Kara shouted. Jax didn't panic. "We expected that. Blaze, move!" Blaze surged forward, engines humming louder, guiding them through a series of hidden exits Kara had found earlier. The corridors twisted and turned, but Blaze navigated perfectly, taking them over obstacles and through maintenance shafts. They emerged into the desert just as the first patrols reached the outer chambers. Kara glanced back. "We did it. They can't stop what I did. The information is already spreading." Jax smiled. "Then it's time to leave before they figure out where we went." They mounted Blaze and rode out into the open desert. The twin moons reflected off the red rocks, casting long shadows behind them. Kara felt a thrill of freedom she hadn't felt in years. For the first time, her mission was successful, and she wasn't alone. "Jax," she said softly, "thank you. I couldn't have done this without you." "Don't thank me yet. We're not out of the desert. But I trust you, and that's rare for me." "I'll take it." The desert stretched endlessly before them, but now it felt like a world full of possibilities. No longer was it just a place to hide or survive. It was a frontier waiting to be explored, challenges to face, and adventures to be had. As they rode, Kara realized something important. Trust wasn't given lightly, but it could be earned. And Jax had earned hers. Together, they could face anything the desert, or the galaxy, threw at them. Blaze's hooves hummed softly over the rocks, carrying them faster than any ground vehicle could. Kara leaned forward, letting the wind whip through her hair. For the first time in years, she felt alive. The danger had passed, at least for now. But the thrill of the ride, the rush of the chase, and the promise of new horizons were just beginning. They stopped at a high plateau overlooking the endless red plains below. The twin moons cast a soft glow, making the desert shimmer like fire. Kara looked at Jax. "Where will we go next?" Jax smiled, shading his eyes. "Anywhere. Everywhere. As long as we ride together, the frontier is ours." "Sounds like a plan. But next time, no chasing drones before breakfast, okay?" "No promises." For a long moment they sat in silence, listening to the desert's whispers. Blaze lowered his head to graze, the soft hum of his circuits blending with the wind. Kara realized that in this vast, dangerous world there were still good people, loyal companions, and places worth fighting for, and with Jax and Blaze by her side, she knew she could face anything. The desert was no longer just a place of survival. It was a place of freedom, adventure, and endless possibilities. The twin moons climbed higher in the sky, bathing the canyon in silver light. Kara took a deep breath, feeling the cool night air fill her lungs. The past was behind her, the dangers of the journey had been faced, and the horizon stretched endlessly before them. Jax nudged Blaze forward. "Come on, let's see what the rest of this world has to offer." And together, the three of them, Kara, Jax, and Blaze, rode toward the horizon. The desert was vast, the dangers real, but the thrill of the ride, the bond they shared, and the promise of new adventures would carry them forward. Somewhere out there, challenges awaited, but Kara felt no fear, only excitement. With trust, skill, and courage, the frontier was theirs to explore. As they disappeared into the red plains, the twin moons reflected off Blaze's metallic hooves, casting a faint glow behind them. The desert was alive, full of secrets and endless possibilities, and for the first time in a long while, Kara felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be, riding free, side by side with a companion who understood the desert, the danger, and the thrill of the journey. The adventure wasn't over. It was only the beginning.